Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our class. So yesterday we have done preamble and we have covered the whole topic. And today we will be starting with our parts of constitution, and with respect to that only we will be covering our syllabus. So let's move forward. So this is part 1, article 1 to 4. So I have told you that Indian constitution covers how many parts? We have 12 schedules, 25 parts, and we have around 470 articles. Okay. And as we know that our constitution is what? It is organic in nature. So with respect to the need of time, we keep making what? We keep making changes. So we are reading in part 1. In part 1, see, the very first part of our constitution is part number 1. And part number 1 covers article 1 to 4. Similarly, part 2 is citizenship. Okay, these parts are how our constitution is divided, the form in which our constitution is divided, and the various aspects it's covered, the various, I'll say the various portion it covers. For example, in part 1, as you can say, it covers from article 1 to 4, and as we know the total number of articles in our Indian constitution, I have mentioned all the parts and articles over here. So as you can see on my screen that part number 1, it covers article 1 to 4. So पहला article हमारे किसी भी चीज के बारे में क्या होता है? To give the introduction. Similarly, part 1 covers the union and its territory. The union and its territory. The whole union of India and the territory it covers. So all the information with regard to the union and the territory of India, it is given where? It is given in part 1 of our Indian constitution. Similarly, don't confuse it with lecture part 1. It is not the part 1 of the lecture. It is part 1 of our Indian constitution. अब part 1 में जब हमारा union और territory आ जाएगा, उसके बाद the next thing is there. The next thing is part 2. Part 2 will be citizenship. What are the provisions? If you want to be the citizen of India, then what are the provisions for the same? Okay, what qualifications are required? What kind of documents will be required? Who can be a citizen of India, whether you are a OCI citizen or you are a NRI? What are the like criteria for getting the benefits that Indian government is providing to whether it is the general public of India or OCI, NRI, or the people who are not living in India or foreigners? Okay. So if any citizen wants to, any foreigner wants to acquire the citizenship of India, then what are the criteria for the same? So let's start with our very first part. And before that, I would like to discuss something. As we have not discussed the parts and the schedule, so first of all, we will be discussing those, how many parts and schedules are there. And then we will be starting with our first part, the union. And with respect to that only, we will be starting what? With respect to that only, we will be starting our syllabus in our upcoming classes as well. Okay. So let's move forward. So as you can see this, it is written over here, parts of constitution. Okay, so this is one of the clipping that I have picked up from the internet. See, as you can see over here, it is mentioned 22. Okay, over here it is mentioned what? 22. This was the original. At that point of time, there were not so many amendments. As you can see over here, it is 42nd amendment written over here and over here as well. Okay, so these are the most important parts we say that of our Indian constitution are. So you don't have to learn all of these. Okay, you must be aware of in which part you have what kind of provisions, and in which part you have official language, in which part you have panchayats. You must be aware of that. Okay, and you must be aware of the important articles. Just the important articles. So for example, if you get in your examination that which of the particular article is related with union, for example, as you can see here, part number 5 covers the union government. Part number 5 covers what? It covers the union government, and the article under it is 52 to 151. So if you get any question with respect to Article 63 ऐसे, okay, so you know that it is in Part 5 of our Indian Constitution and it covers Article 52 to 151. So even though you know that this is Part 5 and 50 to 151 it is over there, then easily you will be able, even if you don't know what Article 63 is, but any statement which is related to what? Which is related to union, you will be able to do it. So that's why these parts and articles are important. Now let's see what is in this part section of ours. So see, part number 1 covers from Article 1 to 4, which we will be discussing today. And it covers what? The union and its territory. All the territories of the union and the India as a whole. Okay, this covers what? It will be in part number 1. Similarly, part number 2, it covers from Article 5 to 11. And it covers what? It covers citizenship. Part number 3, Article 12 to 35. These are our fundamental rights. Article 12 to 35. Next, part number 4 comes Directive Principle of State Policy. You have to keep in mind that fundamental rights, then DPSP, and then duties. These are the most important topics of our syllabus. So in 4th, there is Directive Principle of State Policy. In 4A, we have what? Article 51A. Okay, so as we know that 36 to 51 is DPSP, that 51A is what? 51A is our fundamental duties. Then part 5 covers union. अब जब हमने union पढ़ लिया, then what is next? Union, we have studied center, then there'll be state. Okay. So now there is this part number 7. It covers what? Deals with state in Part B of the first schedule, repealed in 1956 by the 7th Amendment. Deals with what? Deals with state in Part B of first schedule, repealed in 1956 by which amendment? By the 7th Amendment. We will talk about all this later, like we will discuss what are all these things. But for now, you have to just keep in mind which part cover what. Then part number 8. Part number 8 cover Article 239 to 241. It deals with union territory and Article 242 was repealed. Now, as you can see, this is 241 and in the next part number 9, it is 243A to O. 242 got repealed, so we don't count it. So now the next part number 9 will be our panchayats and municipalities. Again, one of the most important topic, I must say. Part number 9 goes with panchayat and part number 9A goes with municipalities. Okay, part number 9 and part number 9A. Next, part 10 is scheduled tribes and scheduled areas. Scheduled tribes and scheduled areas. You will mention in the comment section which part of India have the maximum number of scheduled tribes. Maximum number of scheduled tribes. We will answer this question in our comment section. Now, next we have part number 11. Part 11 tells the relation between union and state. Part 11 tells the relation between union and state. Part 12 talks about the finance, property, contracts, and suits. Part number 13 is trade, commerce, intercourse within the territory of India. It talks about what? Interstate trade, I'll say, layman languages. Interstate trade. Next is part number 14. Part number 14 talks about services under the union and state. All the services under the unions and the state. It comes in what? It comes in part number 14. Whether it is all India services, whether it is a state service. All these come under part number 14. Now part 14A. It talks about all the tribunals. All the tribunals which were set up under the 42nd Amendment, administrative tribunals. Under 42nd Amendment of 1976. It comes under part 14A. Next is part 15. Part 15 talks about the elections. The elections that take place in India and all the provisions with respect to the elections. It comes under which part? It comes under part 15. Okay. Now next is part 16. All the special provisions regarding to SC, ST and Anglo-Indian. What? Reservations. Reservation on SC, ST and Anglo-Indians. All the special provisions of those cover under part number 16. Then part number 17. It talks about what? Official language. Official language of India. It covers official language. And it covers article 343 to 351. Now part number 18 covers all the emergency provisions. Emergency provisions, whether it is a national emergency, financial emergency. All the provisions regarding to emergency covers in part number 18 from article 352 to 360. Okay, we will talk about this emergency provisions when we will talk about president. When we will do union, at that point of time, then we will be covering whatever emergency over there. In which topic? In president. Okay, we will have a subtopic of emergency. Next is immunity of president and legislature. All the miscellaneous provisions comes in which? Comes in part number 19. And then amendment of the constitution, article 368. Okay, this is one of the most important feature of our Indian constitution. Next, 21 covers 369 to 392, which covers what? Temporary provisions and special provisions. Okay, so these are some of the most important, I'll say, parts of the Indian constitution. Apart from this, also I'm highlighting some of those. You can highlight them as well, which we will focus on. It is citizenship, fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, union government, state government, panchayats, municipalities, elections, finance, property and suits, official language, emergency provisions. So these are the most important parts which we will be focusing more on in our upcoming lectures, because most of the questions are framed from here. And if you will cover these parts, the remaining will get covered in the subtopics itself. And part number 10, schedule and tribal areas. Okay, so this is our part of Indian Constitution. These are the parts. Now we will be discussing the schedules. Schedules of Indian Constitution. So first schedule, see how many schedules are there. I've talked that there are total of 12 schedules. How many schedules? A total of 12 schedules are over there. And each schedule have something which covers, each schedule covers one or the other part of the constitution. For example, let's see the second schedule first of all, then we will discuss them. The second schedule consider the emoluments and allowances. Means all the salaries and privileges that are given to what? The president, governor. So all these are what? These are covered in second schedule. Okay. So what you have to keep in mind before attempting the question of schedules, how you have to study these schedules. The very first thing is you should know what is in which schedule. For example, if question comes first schedule, second schedule, third schedule, and fourth schedule, and they ask you emoluments are given in which schedule, then you should know it is in which? It is in second schedule. Similarly, if they ask you oath and affirmations, oaths and affirmations are in which schedule? It is in third schedule. So this is how you have to remember it. Okay. And the next thing, if the examiner is really pissed off on you guys, then the another thing that he can also ask is, if second schedule contains the emoluments, then it contains emolument of how many persons? Like it contains the emoluments of how many offices? For example, it is of president, governor, speaker, deputy speaker, chairman, deputy chairman, legislative assembly, as well as of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Next come judges of Supreme Court and High Court and CAT. So you have to keep in mind the names of all these as well. Okay, if there is president, then you have to tick the option president. And many a times the question comes, emoluments in second schedule. Okay, they will ask you the question regarding the emoluments in second schedule, and they'll ask you which of the following emoluments are not present in the second schedule. Okay, at that point of time, what you have to do, if you don't remember these, then you won't be able to attempt the question, very first thing. And the next thing is, yeah, you will fetch negative marking as well. Okay, no other next thing over there is. So you have to keep in mind of the offices whose emoluments are given in our second schedule. Okay, the very first thing. Apart from that, see, let's discuss our schedules first, then I'll tell you the questions later. So schedules of Indian Constitution, we know how many schedules are there? 12. Okay, so you can just make a simple column as we did in direct and indirect speech during our English lecture. Similarly, you can make one column. Sorry, active and passive. See, make a column like this, write over here schedules, okay, and write over here provisions, the components. So very first is first schedule, then second, till so on till 12th. Okay, so as it is written over, I have highlighted what the particular schedule contains. First schedule contains the list of state and union territories and their territories. It contains what? How many states are there? How many UTs are there? And what is the territories that India currently have or may acquire? Okay. So first schedule contains what? State, UTs and Indian territories. This is what given in our first schedule. So you can write this. Okay, first schedule, and in front of that, write what it contains. Similarly, second schedule contains what? It contains emoluments, salaries, okay, allowances, and privileges. Now, the best way to learn this is, see, what we have in center, we have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. What we have in state, we have State Legislative Assembly and State Legislative Council. Apart from that, judiciary, okay, no executive is over here. Judiciary mein what we have? High Court and Supreme Court. And next is CAT. This is what you have to learn. Other than that, you know that center contains what? Legislative, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, State Legislative Assembly, State Legislative Council, judiciary is High Court and Supreme Court. So in Lok Sabha, we have what? Lok Sabha mein we have Speaker. Okay, let me just clear it out. Lok Sabha may have Speaker. Next, other than that, what we have? Deputy Speaker. Similarly, in Rajya Sabha, we have Chairman. And next, Deputy Chairman. Now, the next thing is, this is what it is of Lok Sabha. Now, let's discuss the other thing, that is of state. In state, we have what? We have State Legislative Council and State Legislative Assembly. Same goes with State Legislative Assembly. It will have what? Speaker and Deputy Speaker. And in State Legislative Assembly, we have, in State Legislative Assembly, we have Speaker and Deputy Speaker. And in State Legislative Council, we have Chairman and Deputy Chairman. Chairman and Deputy Chairman. Okay. So this is what you have to learn. See, first of all, start with center. We have two, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay. Lok Sabha mein kya hai? We have Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Rajya Sabha mein we have Chairman and Deputy Chairman. Same goes with State Legislative Assembly. We have Speaker and Deputy Speaker. And in Council, Chairman and Deputy Chairman. Okay, all major personalities covered. Apart from that, what? स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर का पार्ट एक और पर्सन होता है, दैट इज गवर्नर. स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर कंप्राइजेस ऑफ व्हाट? गवर्नर, स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली एंड स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल इफ एनी. सिमिलरली पार्लियामेंट का पार्ट होता है, इट इज लोकसभा, राज्यसभा एंड अदर देन दैट व्हाट, हु इज देयर? प्रेसिडेंट. Parliament comprises of what? Parliament comprises of the two houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the next thing it comprises of is what? It is president. Okay, so when we talk in second schedule, it contains what? Emoluments and allowances of all the major offices. अब उन offices के अंदर क्या है? President है हमारा, लोकसभा से स्पीकर, डेप्यूटी स्पीकर है, राज्यसभा से चेयरमैन, डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन है. सेम गोज विद स्टेट. स्टेट से वी हैव गवर्नर एंड स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली में हैव वी चेयरमैन एंड डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन, एंड स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल में वी हैव स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल में वी हैव चेयरमैन एंड डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन, एंड इन स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली वी हैव स्पीकर एंड डेप्यूटी स्पीकर. इट इज क्वाइट कंफ्यूजिंग, नो डाउट. नाउ next is judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Okay, we have talked about the legislature part. Now next is judiciary. Judiciary contains of what? High courts and Supreme Courts. So the judges and of Supreme Court and High Court, their emoluments and allowances are also in second schedule. Now let's move forward to CAG. Last is Comptroller and Auditor General. This one will be CAG. Okay, so these are the bodies जिसके emoluments and allowances, privileges कहाँ पे mentioned है? It is mentioned in our second schedule. Okay, we have covered first two schedules. Let's move forward to third schedule. Now third schedule contains what? It contains oaths and affirmations. Oaths and affirmations. When we will discuss our union and state, at that point of time we will discuss the oath and affirmation of each and every body, whether it is president or it is prime minister or it is any governor or anything. Okay, we will discuss the oaths and affirmation. So all the oaths they take, it is mentioned in which schedule? It is mentioned in the third schedule. Next comes fourth schedule. Now fourth schedule mein we have one of the most important provision, that is allocation of seats in Council of States. Council of State is what? Council of State is Rajya Sabha. So our fourth schedule contains provisions for allocation of seats in Council of States. So how many seats are there in Council of State and how they are allocated? All the provisions are in our fourth schedule. So you can write down fourth schedule and you can write down allocation of seat. Where? In Rajya Sabha. Okay. Next comes fifth schedule. Fifth schedule, what? It contains provisions with respect to administration and control of scheduled areas and tribes. Scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. All the provisions with respect to the administration and control of the scheduled areas and scheduled tribes are mentioned in our fifth schedule. Next goes sixth schedule. Now, sixth schedule may we have just what? We have AMMT. Okay. AMMT means Assam, Mizoram, Meghalaya and Tripura. It contains provisions for administration of tribal areas in states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. What provisions it have? All the administration that take place in the tribal areas, all the provisions it is mentioned over where? It is mentioned in our sixth schedule, and the states it covers, there are only 4 states it covers. It is Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. These are the 4 states. Now, seventh schedule, the most famous seventh schedule. Why it is famous? Because it contains lists. And what are the lists? It contains 3 lists. First is union list, next is state list, and next is concurrent list. Okay, third one is concurrent list. What are these lists? See, each lists have some particular sections. Okay, for example, let's say defense. Okay, only union can make laws on defense. Next goes state. Okay, next education. Concurrent list. Concurrent list is the list in which both union and state can make the laws. Now, in state list, the state will make laws on those particular subjects. In union list, the union will make laws. So all the lists have some of the subjects divided between them. Okay. The lists have subject divided between them, and with respect to those subjects, they formulate the laws. For example, if union have 98 subjects in it, so on those 98 subjects only, union can formulate the law. State cannot. Concurrent can, like concurrent may, you cannot put those subjects. Okay, these are exclusively for what? For union. Similarly, if some of the subjects are there, for example, agriculture. Okay, if it is in state list, then it means only state can formulate laws on it. Next comes concurrent. Concurrent means there are some subjects, some topics on which both union and state can formulate the laws. Either union can formulate the laws or state can formulate the laws, or both can formulate the laws. Okay. Now next is our 8th schedule. Now 8th schedule contain all the recognized languages. Okay, all the recognized languages. There are currently 22 languages in it. In our 8th schedule, it contains all the recognized languages. Next comes 9th schedule. 9th schedule talks about certain acts and regulations. Okay, कुछ ऐसे acts होते हैं which are placed in which schedule? In our 9th schedule, which are exclusive as. For example, land reforms. Land reforms. We know after independence, land reform took place. Land reforms में what happened? The people who don't have land पहले क्या था? It was in big zamindars used to control the land of poor people as well. So when land reforms came, it got abolished. That zamindari system got abolished, and everyone got their share of lands. Okay, so all the exclusive provisions are set up in the 9th schedule. Earlier it was out of the ambit of judicial review, but currently it is. Next come 10th schedule. Ab 10th schedule mein it contains another major provision, that is disqualification on the ground of defection. Now what is defection? We also say the 10th schedule is anti-defection. Anti-defection law. So defection is when a person or the political party, they get disqualified from the parliament. Okay, so defection is a ground for that. Okay, what can be a defection? For example, you got elected from one party, and after joining parliament, like after the election, you have decided to switch to another party. It will be considered in what? It will be considered in defection. Okay, it is cheating. Okay, on the ground of defection. So 10th schedule contain all the provisions which are required for disqualifying a person on the ground of defection. And this defection is related to what? It is related to mainly the political parties and the elections. When we will study the union, then we will study what defection is. Okay, anti-defection law and the amendment related to it. Next come 11th schedule. See, 11th schedule contains panchayats. Panchayat. Okay. They contain what? Panchayat, the 3-tier model. So 11th schedule contain all the provisions with respect to panchayat, and 12th schedule contain all the provisions and powers of authorities and responsibilities of what? Municipalities. Municipalities. Okay. At grassroots level, we have panchayat. Grassroots level, we have panchayat, and other thing we have is municipalities. Okay. So 11th and 12th schedule contains the provisions, powers and authorities and responsibility of these two. It's of panchayat and municipalities. Okay. So when we will read panchayat and municipalities, as we have read that panchayat and municipalities covers which part? They cover part number 9 and 9A. See over here. We have panchayats and municipalities, and which schedule they are? In 11th and schedule 12th. Okay. So all the provisions respect to what? With respect to the power, authority and responsibility of panchayats are given in our schedule number 11 and schedule number 12. So one thing now, what you have to do in these schedules? Next question comes that there are a lot of schedules. Aise kaise yaad hoga? Okay. So what you have to do? Sorry. The very first thing is you have to just learn the schedule. And how you have to learn it? First schedule, what it contains? First schedule contains state, list of states and union territories. So just make this first schedule, states, list of states and UTs. Second schedule, emoluments. LS, RS, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, State Legislative Assembly, State Legislative Council, Judiciary, bracket में HC and SC, High Court and Supreme Court and CAG. Okay. Apart from this, LS and RS also covers what? This cover president and there goes governor. Third schedule contains what? Oaths. Fourth schedule contains what? Seat allocation in Rajya Sabha. So don't need to write these whole sentences. You can just write in such form. Okay, seat allocation in Rajya Sabha. Okay, I hope this is clear. And so on, you can write all the schedules till schedule number 1 to 12. Now questions can be of match. Kind of most favorite hai examiners ka. They ask match questions. A and B section, you will give first, second, third schedule and accordingly you have to match. Next type of question is that you can expect are one-liners and next is incorrect ones. Which of the following is incorrect? Okay. If there are emoluments given, so in se kiska emolument is not given in that. Okay. And if 11th schedule, you will be given two statements. For example, A statement states, and you have to check which of the following statement is incorrect. So now listen the question. The first, it states that panchayats, the power, responsibility and authority of panchayat is mentioned in 10th schedule. This will be the first statement. Second statement, it will say 12th schedule contain the power, authority and responsibility of municipalities. These are the two statements. They will ask you which one of the following is correct. Okay, such type of questions can also happen. And as you know, the trend is changing a lot. So you have to keep up with that. So now we will be starting with our what? Part 1 of Indian Constitution. We know that part 1 is what? Part 1 is the union and its territory. This is our part 1. So let's start. See, part 1 covers article 1 to article number 4 of Indian Constitution. I've told you this. Currently 448 articles, 25 parts and 12 schedules are over there. Part 1 of the Indian Constitution includes article 1 to 4. How many articles it includes? There are only 4 articles in it. Covers from article 1 to article number 4. Part 1 of Indian Constitution titled as the Union and its territory. So we will be discussing the articles one by one. Now let's see. Part 1, Union and its territory. Article 1, the name and territory of the Union. Article 1 states the name and the territory of the Union. So what it is mentioned? They mentioned the name of the country and the states, okay, and the territories. Now we will discuss this. Okay. So first it states India, that is Bharat, shall be the union of states. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. There is nowhere mentioned the term federal. Okay. India is what? India is a union of state. It is not a federation of state. Federation of state. India is union of state. So India, that is Bharat. There are only what? 2 official names of India. One is India itself and another one is Bharat. Shall be a union of states. Second, the state and the territories thereof shall be as specified in the first schedule. Third states, the territory of India shall comprise. What it comprise of? The territory of states, all the states, the territory of those states. Union territories which are specified in the first schedule, because our first schedule is what? First schedule of Indian Constitution is what? First schedule states the state and the union territories and their territories. So article 1 states what? Article 1 states state and the territories thereof shall be as specified in the first schedule, which are specified in the first schedule are mentioned in article number 1. This is what this statement means. Territory of India shall comprise. Now this territory of India, we say not states and the territory of India. Okay, what it comprises of? First of all, it comprises of territory of India. See, this is India. Okay, so this is the territory we are talking about. Okay, within the geographical boundary, what it comprises? Territory of the states, all the states present in this country. Union territories specified in the first schedule, all the UTs that are specified given in our first schedule. Such other territories as may be acquired. All the territories which may be acquired by India. All these come under which article? Article number 1. So article number 1 tells us about what? It tells us the name of the country and all the states and the territories it comprises of. Okay. Next, move forward to article number 2. Article number 2 talks about what? Admission or establishment of new states. For example, in this country, if you want to establish, just a minute, let me just draw it properly. Okay, this is India, a bit slim, but still it is India. Let's imagine. So article 2 talks about the admission or establishment of new states. The admission and establishment. For example, if you want to establish a new state, okay, and you want to what? Admit a new state, then all the provisions of what are mentioned in article number 2. As it states that Parliament may by law admit into union or establish new states on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. So the power is with whom? Power is with the Parliament. Parliament by what? By following the law can admit into union and establish new states as per the condition it seems fit. As per the conditions the Parliament thinks fit, it can establish new states. Okay. Next, it states Parliament, for example, when there are certain French settlement and certain Portuguese settlement, just Goa. Goa was earlier under Portuguese control. So Parliament what? Parliament admitted Goa into India after independence. Goa was the last state, last occupied state, I must say. Okay, Portuguese occupied Goa, and after that, Portuguese were the last to leave, and it said that Portuguese were the last to leave and the first to come. So Goa was lastly admitted after independence. I'm talking about. Then Pondicherry, Karaikal, Mahe, all these were what? They were French settlement. So all these got admitted into Indian what? In India, I'll say. Okay, in Indian Union. So Parliament admitted the French settlement, Pondicherry, Karaikal, Mahe, and Portuguese settlement into India after the independence. So after independence, what? Parliament by law admitted them into what? Into India. Next comes article number 3. Article number 3 gives the power to Parliament that by law it can create a new state. Create a new state. Either by uniting, either by what? Either by uniting 2 or more states or by separation from any other state. For example, Telangana. Okay, so Parliament may by law form a new state either by separation of the territory from any state or by uniting 2 or more states. Either by separation or by uniting. And how? Either by increasing the area of any state or by decreasing the area of any state, by altering the boundaries of any state, or it can also alter the name of any state. So Article 3 states what? Formation and alteration of area, boundary and name of existing state. Formation of new state, alteration of the areas of existing state, boundaries and name of the existing state. So it states that Parliament may by law form a new state by separation of territory from any state, by uniting 2 or more states. या तो 2 states को it will unite, or what it can do, it can also separate. One state से दूसरा state भी separate कर सकता है. or by uniting two or more parts of the state or parts of different states, or by uniting any territory to a part of any state. Now, it can also what? Increase the area of any state. For example, this is Rajasthan. You know that in the map of India, Rajasthan lies over here. So they can also increase the area. They can diminish the area. They can reduce it too. They can alter the boundary of that particular state as well as can alter the name of the state. All these powers, from where Parliament get these powers? From Article 3 of our Indian Constitution. Now, over here it is written, Constitution itself declares that the laws made for admission or establishment of new state and formation of new state, alteration of areas and boundaries are not considered as an amendment under Article 368. So what this is Article 4. This is Article 4. We have 1 to 4 articles in our Part 1. So this one is Article 4. What it states, whenever the Parliament is, what it is doing, either it is forming new state, next it is altering the boundaries, it is changing the names of the existing states, okay, it will be not considered as what? As a constitutional amendment. All these laws will be passed by what? By simple majority in the Parliament. We will discuss, when we will discuss majority, then we will discuss the simple majority. What is simple majority? Simple majority to pass any or ordinary legislation. This simple majority is required in the legislature. And by ordinary legislative process, by the normal legislative process and by simple majority, these laws can be passed. Laws relating to what? Laws relating to formation of new state, alteration of the areas and boundaries, changing of the names of the particular state. But if Indian territory is ceded to foreigner, for example, to a foreign country, for example, if Indian territory is ceded to a foreign country, that will only be done by a constitution amendment under Article 368. For example, see, we have recently transferred, not recently, years back, we have transferred some of our enclaves, 111 enclaves, India gave to Bangladesh and Bangladesh gave 51 to India. Okay, so we have transferred certain amount of our territory to Bangladesh and we have took some of them. So what happened? We did it by 100th Constitutional Amendment Act. So when it comes to between two foreign countries, like for example, if we are dealing, if we are having, we are giving our territories, we are ceding our territories to some other country, okay, whether it is Bangladesh, whether it is Nepal, that will be done through a constitutional amendment. But if Parliament is changing, the boundary of any particular state in India I'm talking about, not with any other country. If this is Maharashtra and this is Madhya Pradesh, and Parliament decided to increase the boundary of Maharashtra and decrease the boundary of Madhya Pradesh, okay, or form another state, at that point of time, they will not require any constitution amendment. But when it comes to, for example, this is Bangladesh over here. Parliament decided to give certain amount of Bengal to Bangladesh. Then at that point of time, they will require a what? A constitution amendment. Okay. Or decide to give certain amount of northeastern boundary to Myanmar. At that point of time, they will require a constitution amendment. So this is what our Article 4 states. Okay. For changing the name, for changing the existing boundaries, they do not require what? Any constitution amendment. Under which article? Under Article 368. But when it comes to transfer of property from one country, from our country to another, if we are ceding a particular amount of territory to other country, then it will require what? A constitution amendment under Article 368. Okay. So this is all we have for part number 1. We will discuss it further in tomorrow. The same part number 1, we will discuss all the commissions that have been formed. Okay, with respect to what? With respect to the states formation in India. Okay, that's all for today's class. I will see you guys tomorrow. Keep revising and keep studying. That's all I can say for now. Have a good day ahead.